Good morning, everybody. Good morning, IMTS. Welcome to IMTS 2016. Wow, do we have a show set up for you. And we've got a lot of celebrities coming. We've got a lot of visitors who know IMTS. We have 2,000 exhibitors here for you to visit. We have 1.3 million square feet for you to visit. But before you get started walking, we have to open the show. So we're going to do that right now with a little opening ceremony that we're going to tie some history of IMTS to the future of manufacturing. For me, I've been doing this show for a long time. In fact, this is my 19th IMTS. And I sometimes think of myself as kind of the old guy, the guy who's seen it all here. But I am just a minor player in experience with IMTS next to Jim Ailman, who's next to me. Jim is about to cut the ribbon in a few minutes on his 25th IMTS. Let me tell you a little bit about Jim. Jim started in the industry in 1962. He worked in Monroe City, Missouri for die makers. In the 60s and all the way up to 1991, he worked for Westhoff Tool and Die in St. Louis. 1991 to 2012 at Davis Tool and Die, also in St. Louis. And currently, he's decided that he ought to run his own operation. So he's in Ailman Machine and Tool with his son, who welcome, Toby also, welcome to IMTS.
It's actually Perry's shop, and I just go out and play with his toys.
He just gets to play with the toys, he just told me. Yeah. Well, he apparently plays with the toys pretty well because he holds 2 patents, this gentleman right here. 2 patents. One was issued in 1990, and that was for an insert cutter. And he has his most recent patent in 2014 for a measuring system. How about his contributions to the industry? So the one thing that you can see here is that IMTS is generational. IMTS has linked together the history of manufacturing, the growth of manufacturing, the continued development of manufacturing. In fact, IMTS as a show marks the change in industry here in Chicago. IMTS, when Jim was first attending it, was only open to domestic companies. It was only, hey, they're ready to go. All right. Everybody's happy. And now that Esprit's ready to go, I guess the rest of us can get started. So IMTS in the history has come from a domestic show to an international show to a globally recognized event. And today we're going to open the show with over 190 companies represented here at IMTS. A big show. But we're also going to move from generation to generation in manufacturing. I'm going to bring up AMT's Vice President of Smart Force Development, Greg Jones, who is going to discuss a little bit about the Smart Force Student Summit and how we're going to open IMTS to the next generation of manufacturers. Greg?
Thank you, Peter. Well, for those of you who weren't aware, we really welcome the next generation of young people coming into careers in manufacturing. We produce a student summit at IMTS, and we've been doing that since 1998. So this is the 10th student summit at IMTS. This year, we've got about 40 exhibitors in the North Building, Hall C, so we invite you to join us down there. By the way, this is my 15th IMTS, so I'm happy to be back. At the Student Summit this year, we're really trying to show the next generation what all manufacturing processes are all about. So from design to 3D printing, tooling, machining, automation, and robotics, they're going to be able to touch all aspects of manufacturing. And I have a little show and tell here today. We're going to be 3D printing these rockets and shooting them off using air power. No other propellant than that allowed in this building, but using air power in a silo. So the students will be able to engage in that challenge, and they'll also be designing and machining Googie-style rockets out of aluminum with some of our exhibit partners.
Wait a minute. We're going to shoot rockets off at IMTS?
Yeah.
Did I know about this?
Well, there's netting. So
all right, okay. I guess I did know about
through.
this. Okay, good.
And it's only air power.
Okay, good.
Less than 10 PSI.
Gotcha.
Okay, so it'll be great. So that's the design it, the machine it, the tool it, the make it, the automate it challenges. So there'll be other robotics challenges down there too. The best thing about this student summit is we all know there's a skills gap in manufacturing these days. So we have attracted, on a pre-registered basis, about 15,000 students to this student summit this year. We expect that maybe we will get to about 20,000 students attending the student summit by the end of the week. So we're really excited about this. It'll be the biggest student summit ever. The other news about the students that are coming is we've attracted students from 38 states. So this is not just, it is an international show. There are students coming from other countries in Canada, but 38 states in the US. And one of these days, I hope to be able to get students from Hawaii and Alaska. I know they have to travel pretty far to Chicago to get here, but we're trying to get to all 50 states. Today with me, I have students who are attending their second IMTS. They came in 2014 and were able to see us 3D print the Strati and see other things. And we became aware of one of these students who's standing right next to me, Oliver Leopold, who's really sort of famous on YouTube. He and his dad go to a lot of trade shows and videotape their experience at those shows. So we became aware of Oliver through that. Oliver is here representing the Robotronics First Lego League team with their coach, Sarah Lubick, and they're going to help us cut this ribbon today with Oliver. Thanks.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay, I want you to know something. We don't do anything small at IMTS. This is the kind of scissors we have at IMTS. Think you can handle this there, young fella? There you go. Take hold of that. Greg?
All right.
This one's for you.
Okay.
Jim?
Are we going to cut both sides of this then, Peter?
I hope. All right. Are we ready? Get in position. 1, 2, 3, cut. Welcome to IMTS, everybody. The show is open.
All right.
The opening ceremony for IMTS 2016 is about to begin. I have the pleasure of introducing AMT President, Mr. Douglas Woods.
Thank you, Ronnie. Good morning. Welcome to IMTS 2016. And anybody who loves manufacturing has got to love being here. This is one of the premier manufacturing technology events anywhere in the world. And we're glad to have you here. And we know we have a lot of you here. IMTS this year is almost 6.5% larger in scale than it was in 2014, which is one of our best years that we ever had. So it's clear that folks are attracted to what's happening new and being innovated in manufacturing technology. As you walk around these halls and the 4 buildings that we have here, you're going to see 1.37 million square feet of manufacturing technology being exhibited, the latest innovations. We also like to thank our partners, Hanover Fairs, who are back with us again this year with 5 co-located shows here at IMTS, which really helps us see the full breadth of technologies being shown at one place at one time. And when it comes to innovation, clearly automation is at the leading edge of what's going on, the latest in new technologies. And one of the best places to start out seeing that is right over here at the AMT Emerging Technology Center. where we're showing a lot of the newest technologies that are out, and in fact, once again, showing more about additive manufacturing technology, which has become more of a mainstream technology for all of us here in manufacturing. And some super neat things that we're going to be showing this time are some of the things that are happening in additive bionic human display, which is showing some of the mainstream technology that's been advanced into medical implants, which are every day saving people's lives as they're being used. Also, we're showing an array of what can be done with big area additive manufacturing. So our friends at Oak Ridge have their AMI project, which is really phenomenal, which you'll see in the center. So if anybody who was here in 2014 remembers what we did building the first ever additive car, which was the first ever done in the world, which was phenomenal. Well, I want you to know this year we also have an additive manufactured vehicle, but we've taken it up a notch. This time we also have a solar powered additive manufactured house that goes with the car that works together. So you need to see what the folks at Oak Ridge have done with the AMI project. And when you look overall at what we've done, automation technology, the data dynamics, what you're going to see is more and more pervasive use of digital technology and things like MT Connect being used throughout the facility, helping manufacturers extract and analyze the unique data that we can get from manufacturing to drive productivity and move factories and businesses forward. And as usual, AMT is trying to do what we can to help ensure that people can leverage these technologies, bringing it to you here at IMTS. One of the main ways that we try to do everything that we do at this show is connecting people. So not only are we trying to use the technology connecting folks, but we're trying to just have the event be a premier way of connecting the people who are developing the technologies with the users that are using that technology to create the products that change our businesses and change the ways that we live every day. And that's one of the unique things that we're able to do here. And we continue to try to do that through our education events. There's 10 separate educational conferences that are being held here at IMTS, helping both attendees and exhibitors learn about the latest technologies and how they can implement those technologies. And at this show, we have the 10th Smart Force Student Summit being held. We have 15,000 young students that will be coming here and leveraging the exact technologies that we have upstairs, being able to do projects to learn what we're doing in manufacturing and get a feel for how neat and how cool manufacturing is, and hopefully they will be our next generation of manufacturers. So really excited to have the 15,000 students downstairs. And AMT is again proud to be the host of IMTS, as we have been since 1927 at the first IMTS. AMT is also proud to be representing manufacturing in the United States. And one of the companies, that's one of our oldest companies in the industry, and the person I'd like to have come up and join me up here on stage in a second is Rick Simons, who is an old friend of mine. He is the chairman of AMT, and he's also the president and CEO of the Hardinge Group. I was sorry to use old so many times in announcing Rick, but Rick, if I could have you come up and say a few words, it'd be great.
Thank you, Doug, and good morning to everyone. I'd like to add my welcome to you all to IMTS 2016. And I'd add my comments as well to Doug's about the creativity, the innovation, and the excitement you're going to see at this show for the whole entire week. My company, Hardinge Incorporated, is a proud American company, started actually here in Chicago in 1890, moved to Elmira, New York in 1930, where we're still headquartered. We're now a global company with manufacturing operations not only in Elmira, but also in Asia and in Europe. But in Elmira, we continue to produce some of the highest precision lathes and accessories available. And also, we have manufacturing operations nearby here in Elgin, Illinois, and Traverse City, Michigan. And in Elgin, we're producing grinding machines, and in Traverse City, Michigan, we're producing custom chucks. All of those can be seen in our booth in the South Hall over here. And when you go over there, you would see some of the innovation and the excitement in our booth, where our employees talk in microns, talk in very, very high precisions. As chairman of the board of AMT this year, it's my honor today to introduce our special guest, the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Penny Pritzker. In 2013, Secretary Pritzker became the 38th U.S. Secretary of Commerce. Since then, she has worked to provide American businesses and entrepreneurs with the tools they need to grow and create jobs. Secretary Pritzker has been a strong advocate for manufacturing technology innovation, global competitiveness, and workforce development, issues at the core of AMT's manufacturing mandate. Recognizing the challenges manufacturers face in hiring skilled workers, she has expanded the Commerce Department's focus to include, for the first time, skills and workforce development. Before joining the administration, Secretary Pritzker founded and served as advisory board chairman of Skills for America's Future, a national initiative that works directly with employers to develop training mechanisms to prepare workers with in-demand skills. In 2012, she also helped launch Skills for Chicagoland's Future, the first city model of Skills for America's Future. While this is Secretary Pritzker's first government position, public service has been her lifelong passion. She was recently honored as the inaugural recipient of the Commercial Diplomat of the Year Award at the 2015 Foreign Policy Diplomat of the Year dinner. In 2012, Secretary Pritzker received the Woodrow Wilson Award for Public Service, an honor given to individuals who have served with distinction in public life and have shown a special commitment to seeking out informed opinions and thoughtful views. Now please join me in welcoming the United States Secretary of Commerce, Penny Pritzker.
Well, thank you, Rick, for that kind introduction. It's always wonderful to be home in Chicago. You know, I grew up in a family that made everything from railroad tank cars to medical equipment. So I was raised with a real appreciation of the American manufacturing tradition. But today, as Secretary of Commerce, I have had the opportunity to see firsthand the modern reality of our industrial base, and also to work closely and partner with manufacturers across our country to strengthen this critical sector of our economy. Whether it's on the factory floor at SpaceX outside Los Angeles, where I talk to workers who are building spacecraft that may one day take us to Mars, about how we could keep our manufacturers on the cutting edge. Or at ArcelorMittal in Cleveland, where they manufacture steel, obviously, I saw how the Commerce Department's enforcement of trade laws can protect an industry that forms the foundation of everything from our cars to the bridges those cars drive on. Or at a high school in Dalton, Georgia, where I met a young apprentice who is learning to create the carpets of the future, thanks in part to our department's commitment to expanding training focused on leading sectors in each region of our country. Over the past 3 years as secretary, I have seen firsthand the strength and resilience of American manufacturing. And I've also seen how your ability as manufacturers to innovate, to make, and to sell to the world was critical to digging ourselves out of the recession. 8 years ago, no one could have predicted the resurgence of manufacturing that we're seeing today in our country. After a half a century of steady growth, it took just 9 years for the industry really to be decimated. Our manufacturing sector lost approximately a third of its workforce. 60,000 factories closed their doors, sending the country into crisis. And many people really began to doubt that U.S. manufacturing would ever be growing again. But today, even in the face of global headwinds, there are 828,000 more Americans in manufacturing jobs than just 6 years ago. And your companies are looking to fill over 350,000 jobs. After a steep drop in the first decade of the millennium, the number of factories in the United States has started to increase again. And for 4 years in a row, CEOs from around the world have named the United States the best place to make and invest. And we've seen new capital investment in a broad range of manufacturing sectors. So let's be clear, and as many of you in this room know, the last 2 years has not been easy for many manufacturers. Weaker overseas demand, a stronger dollar, and a sharply lower commodity prices all have caused new orders, production, and employment to stall, and companies to draw down inventory. But it's important for us to distinguish between these short-term trends and the long-term fundamental strength of U.S. manufacturing. In my view, as someone who spent 27 years in the private sector, there are 3 key reasons why Made in America remains the best brand in the world: our people, our business climate, and our capacity to innovate. Today, I want to talk about how we can strengthen these 3 assets and in turn continue to grow U.S. manufacturing. First and foremost, our people and our workers are America's most precious resource. They're the engine that powers the manufacturing machine. You know that. If our country is going to outcompete and continue to lead the rest of the world, we must prepare our workforce for the jobs of the 21st century. Under President Obama's leadership, our administration has invested heavily in preparing our children and our workers for the high-tech, high-wage jobs of today and tomorrow. We're making college more affordable, job training more available, and funding for workforce development more sensible. At the Department of Commerce, we've made job-driven training a priority for the very first time. Through our Skills for Business agenda, we bring employers to the table to define precisely what they're looking for in their prospective employees. And we do this locally. We partner with employers to implement effective training models like apprenticeship programs. And we work with educators and trainers to ensure that they're providing in-demand skills. But to continue leading in a global economy, we must never stop improving our workforce development efforts. For example, we know that it is not enough simply to arm America's workforce with the skills to compete. We must also engage the next generation of workers and excite our youth about the potential of a career in manufacturing. Among young people today, manufacturing still ranks last as an industry career choice. And we must change that perception of manufacturers as outdated factories filled with line jobs. And that's why the Department of Commerce has created Manufacturing Day. Last year's Manufacturing Day saw over 400,000 students and adults participate in more than 2,400 open houses, tours, career workshops, and other events across the country. This year, on October 7th, this year's Manufacturing Day, we want to do even better. So I'm asking you, please, to consider hosting an event. Invite a class from your local schools and their career advisors to tour your plant so they can experience these exciting work and the career opportunities that exist in today's 21st century manufacturing. You can find more about Manufacturing Day at mfgday.com. Our country's prosperity starts and ends with our people. But our business climate is another huge factor as to why foreign companies choose to invest in the United States and why American companies like yours are bringing their production home. Consider all that our country has to offer: a strong rule of law and intellectual property protections, predictable regulations and a consistent judicial system, cheap and abundant sources of energy, low tariff rates, and a supportive local governments that make it easy to do business in their communities. It's no surprise, therefore, that the World Bank named the United States one of the easiest places in the entire world to do business. But even with our success, this administration is laser focused on continually improving the business climate across our country. For example, while the United States already offers significant market access through free trade agreements with 20 countries, we know that that is not sufficient. Our entire administration is committed to enacting new trade agreements like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which will open doors to the Asia-Pacific market, the fastest growing region in the world. Now let me be frank. I know that globalization, coupled with advances in technology, is disrupting some in our communities, some of our workers, and some of our businesses. Many, understandably, are feeling left behind. But the existence of these forces, globalization, advances in technology, does not mean that we should turn our back on trade or new trade pacts, especially high standard agreements like the Trans-Pacific Partnership. In the Trans-Pacific Partnership, we negotiated an agreement that levels the playing field for our workers and our manufacturers, protects the environment, and ensures that other countries abide by our tough labor laws. Our challenge now is to generate the public will needed to pass TPP before the end of the year. If you believe the Trans-Pacific Partnership will create more customers for your business and more growth for our economy, I ask you to be vocal about your support, because we cannot call ourselves a pro-growth nation while denying American workers and American businesses the opportunity to compete and win through our modern globalized economy. For the United States to remain a step ahead of the competition and thrive now and into the future, market access alone is not enough. We also need a cutting-edge manufacturing sector. Recognizing that American competitiveness is at stake, President Obama created the National Network for Manufacturing Innovation. The advanced manufacturing institutes in this network break down silos between the U.S. private sector and academia to collaborate on taking industry-relevant technologies from lab to market in 5 to 7 years. In just 4 years, the network has grown to over 1,300 members and working on 240 technology development projects. Today, the network's members include 2/3 of the Fortune 50 and 8 out of 10 top-ranked research and development universities, and more than 1/3 of the member companies are small and medium-sized enterprises. So if you're not already a member, regardless of your size, I encourage you to connect with my team and learn more about how your company can benefit from joining one of these advanced manufacturing institutes. We want all of you to participate. The Department of Commerce runs the network of these institutes that today consists of 9 different organizations, and we will grow that to 14 institutes by the end of the year. Through this network, we enable the sharing of best practices to develop new technologies, to manage the supply chain, to introduce new products to market, and to attract and retain the talented workforce needed to support 21st century manufacturing. Our department also has the sole authority to establish new institutes in technology areas selected by industry, not by government, meaning selected by you, not by the government. We plan to announce the first Commerce Department sponsored industry-chosen Advanced Manufacturing Institute early next year. I'm very excited about this. As new market technologies continue to emerge from these institutes and industry identifies new areas for growth, we need to ensure that Congress provides adequate funding to make our current institutes sustainable and ensure that these hubs keep American manufacturing ahead of the competition. To see the value of this network, look no further than the Digital Manufacturing and Design Innovation Institute right here in Chicago, where researchers are developing an augmented reality-based training system for workers. So if you've ever tried, for example, Pokemon Go, I can see all of you have out here. Anyway, it's a lot like that, except that instead of catching monsters, you point your camera at a piece of machinery and the screen shows you exactly how to operate it. At another institute 500 miles south of here in Knoxville, Tennessee, at the Institute for Advanced Composite Manufacturing Innovation, they're not only attracting new companies like Orion Composites and Local Motors to the region, but they're inventing new materials that make the impossible possible. For example, they partnered with Oak Ridge Laboratory to develop a 3D printed home that uses its own energy to power a 3D printed car. And you could see both of these this week at the Energy Technology Center. So with the incredible success of this initiative, let's be honest, it deserves better branding. I don't know about you, but as far as acronyms and names go, National Network of Manufacturing Innovation, or NNMI, it's not the catchiest phrase. So today, I am thrilled to announce Manufacturing USA. With our new name, Manufacturing USA captures the geographic reach of a network of advanced manufacturing institute that spans our entire nation and is positioned to benefit companies of all sizes, your companies, from coast to coast. But more importantly, this name embodies our vision for a unified manufacturing sector where the brightest minds and the most innovative companies come together to develop the most cutting-edge technology in the world. Ultimately, our work to make Manufacturing USA successful is about ensuring Made in America is not just one of the world's best brands, but the hallmark of an innovative, constantly evolving industry that builds lasting careers and stronger communities. From Samuel Slater's textile mill to Henry Ford's Model T to today's 3D printers, we are a country that innovates, a country that makes, a country that sells to the world. By working together to out-collaborate, out-innovate, and out-compete the rest of the globe, I am confident that America's manufacturers, each of you in this room, will continue to spur and sustain our dynamic, growing economy for years to come. Thank you for inviting me to join you today.
I'm just going to grab those scissors in 1 second. Okay. Thank you, Secretary Pritzker. I'd like to thank the Secretary for not only taking time from her busy schedule, but more importantly for her leadership at Commerce Department and helping drive manufacturing in the United States. It's greatly appreciated by all of us in manufacturing. And while we have you here, and speaking of cutting edge, we're going to grab those rather awkward looking, I think big area additive manufactured scissors and truly use the cutting edge to open up the show. So Rick, if I could have you come back up.